The podcast which you are about to hear is an account of the tragedy which befell a group of horror movie fans, in particular Insane Mike and his podcast crew. They could not have expected, nor would they have wished to see as much as the mad and macabre as they were to see for that show. For them, an idyllic afternoon of watching horror movies became a nightmare, as they were subjected to film after film that couldn't do anything original, but instead would just rip off the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Texas Chainsaw Massacre ripoffs on this episode of Attack of the Killer Podcast.
Attention planet Earth and beyond. Stay tuned for Attack of the Killer Podcast. 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 Time for the show. Yay.
Welcome, all you crazed cannibals, to another episode of Attack of the Killer Podcast. This is episode 255, and we are calling it Texas Chainsaw Ripoff because all the films that we'll be talking about tonight share one thing in common, or maybe two things in common. And they all share in common with one of the greatest horror films of all time, and one of the most copied films of all time, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So we're not going to be talking about Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We're going to be talking about movies that rip it off. So we do have a great show for you, but first, if you've not heard of our show before, let me get you up to speed. Attack of the Killer Podcast is a horror movie podcast. A group of friends, we get together, we talk about horror movies based on a certain topic. We're just friends hanging out, so there's going to be spoilers. So suck it.
Okay.
You can also help support the show by becoming an attacker. You like I just told them to suck it and I'm going to beg for their money?
Yep.
An attacker is a fan of the show that supports the show and help keeps the lights on. By becoming an attacker, you get all kinds of special perks, exclusive only to you guys, the attackers. Such perks as bonus episodes, getting the regular episodes early, getting our various video series such as Insane Mike's Women in Top 10 list, video updates, and killer critiques. You can also get your own membership certificate and membership card and sticker. You can get original art by me, known as Mikey's Monsters, and even an Attack of the Killer Podcast t-shirt. You can get all that and a whole lot more by going to jointheattackers.com. Again, go to jointheattackers.com and sign up for the tier you want to support the show and start getting the content you deserve. That site, again, is jointheattackers.com. And we have a new attacker joining our ranks. Everybody welcome the newest attacker, Rose Talashoma.
Rose! Welcome.
Tallahassee. What? Talashoma? What?
Dad, you got this.
You got it right the first
okay.
Oh, Talashoma?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll try
Close
better next
enough.
time. Rose, you know what? I'm just going to call you Rose. You are awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much for your support. And welcome to the world of attackers. I hope you're ready.
You're in the club.
That's right. You too can get a shout out on the show also as a perk by becoming an attacker. So again, that website is jointheattackers.com. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to introduce you to the podcast crew. He used to be a master at the chainsaw until he cut off his hands. They say he lost his touch. Tad, everybody!
Hey, thanks for listening.
His chainsaw has 3 settings. He started it out on slow, but then he decided to try it on max. Max's wife is very upset. Andy!
He's married to a woman named Max. Okay. Maxine.
Yeah.
He took an expensive trip to Texas to find the Chainsaw family. The whole trip cost him an arm and a leg. Jason!
I like it. Oh, man. Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. So glad that you're here and listening. I'm just nervous that these intros are going to be the best part of the show. Anyway, thanks for being here. Oh, no, I'm excited for this episode. Anytime talking about Chainsaw, I'm all for it.
See what that means here in a while. Oh, but in the meantime, do you wish there was somewhere out there that you can get more horror content in your life?
Do I?
Are you freaking kidding me? I've only been talking about Shudder for years now. Do you even listen to me when I talk? Well, listen to me now. You need Shudder. Sign up today. You could start your journey through the Netflix of horror. I've said that 100 times by getting your first month for free on us here at Attack of the Killer Podcast. Enter our promo code AOTKP. Do I have to spell it out for you? AOTKP. And you will get a month of Shudder for free. I don't even know if you deserve it anymore. But I'm going to give it to you anyway. That promo code again is AOTKP. Get started on Shudder now. Tired of you guys not listening to me.
I swear you yell at them even harder every week.
Do it. Do it now.
I feel better. But speaking of not listening to me, here's Tad with what we watched.
I'm excited to hear what you guys have watched because I have not watched much of anything. Let's jump right over to Jason. What have you watched?
Well, speaking of not watching much of anything, I didn't watch anything. I didn't
Holy
see
poop.
any movies since the
You
last
did
time we
see
recorded.
a show. I recommend.
I sure did. That's the only thing on my list. The free time that I did have, I'd pop on an episode every night of this awesome show that I found all by myself without any help. No one. It's really awesome. It's on Showtime. It's called Yellow Jackets.
Oh, yeah.
And turns out Tad sort of knows what he's talking about. It was pretty good.
Weird.
I know. That's why I watched it, just to prove him wrong. That's why I do a lot of things, just to see how wrong
Out of
Tad
spite.
is. But yeah, spite. Watch stuff for Tad. No, it's man, it was so good. It was so good. I've been dying to talk to you about it in person, and we still can't because these yahoos haven't seen it. And it was freaking awesome and great. And can you tell me there's going to be more?
Yeah, it's been renewed. So
Oh, that's all I needed to know.
yep,
What a relief.
big relief because they sort of left it with a big cliffhanger.
Yeah, they sure did. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty great. If you didn't know what Yellow Jackets was about, the quick little thing is just this high school soccer team is going to the nationals, and they get on a plane to go to the big game, and their plane goes down in the middle of the wilderness. And then the show simultaneously takes place 19 months later.
Years.
Yep. And 25 years. It takes place 25 years later, and it talks about, so it's about the 19 months they spent on the mountain, those who lived or didn't, and the things they went through and how it affected their lives. And it's, there's some great fucking gore and sick and gross shit. And as you can imagine, it's fantastic. And it's cool seeing a show simultaneously doing a 25-year split with like famous actors. You know, I think the casting was really great.
Yes.
It was awesome.
So did you vote for me on pole position?
Oh, absolutely not. But I'm glad you got some votes because that show's awesome.
I agree. It was a big surprise for me this season. It once again, like, Dexter is a gateway drug.
Got you
Like,
there, yeah.
he got me to attach to Shameless, the U.S. version, and that ended up being something I watched for years and years. And then Yellow Jackets. So when they attach it to a new show to an established show, they hooked me. So yeah, I'm happy to find a new series that I enjoyed.
It was great, and that's what I watched.
All right, Andy, what did you watch?
Well, show wise, I've been watching the hell out of Peacemaker, which I think is hilarious. I highly, highly, highly recommend. I can't recommend that show enough. It's awesome. Basically, if you don't know what Peacemaker is, he ended up being the bad guy in the second Suicide Squad, but now he's kind of had a change of heart, and he still works for Amanda Waller as kind of like this black ops guy, and now he's got this buddy named Vigilante who is absolutely. I think I like him more than I do Peacemaker. But this show is awesome. It's got, you know, he's a 80s heavy metal kind of guy. So I mean, you're hearing a lot of Faster Pussycat and Firehouse and Hanoi Rocks and stuff like that in the show. And of course, James Gunn is writing every episode. So I mean,
Mm.
what's that tell you right there? Watch this show. Um, it's hilarious. It's gory as hell. Uh, you've got Robert Patrick playing John Cena, who is Peacemaker's dad. Um, yeah, watch it. It's good. HBO Max. I also watched Scream 2022. Don't want to say much about that. I think if you're a horror fan, you should be watching it eventually anyway. Um, watched Eternals with the wife the other day. It's not bad, but if it's if it's 2.5 hours long, it's got to be better than just okay for me. And it was just okay. However, like they did what I will say about it is that they did a really good job of tying in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I mean, they mentioned Thanos and the mass extinction, and they talk about, Iron Man and blah 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 blah. But basically, with the Eternals, they're only there for one reason, and it's to fight these things called the Deviants. That's why you haven't seen them around like anything else. They're there for one sole reason, and they don't get involved with humankind. And but like I said, it's not super good, but it's not bad. But it also I don't want to spoil anything, but like there is, an ending scene where uh
La la
yeah,
la la
another
la la la.
yeah, exactly. But they call him the mysterious man, and I looked up who they say that it is, and yeah, things could get interesting because I never thought this mysterious man would be involved. And let's just say, another actor has played this character before, but now this new actor is replacing one previously. That's the only hint that I'll give. Um, as for other films that I watched, really quick, I finally watched Underwater with
Yes.
Kristen Stewart.
Fun, yeah.
That is wow. Yeah, this is really really good. I'm sorry I was late to the party on this. She's I mean I probably this has probably been said before, but she really reminded me of Ripley in the first Alien. It's just like
Mhm.
an aquatic version of that. And yeah, it's really really good. I thought just visually it looks good. I mean it's tense. Uh really really recommend that. I also watched a Steven Soderbergh movie called Unsane. Have you guys heard of this?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
shot
that movie's
completely on
great.
an iPhone.
Yeah, and I couldn't really place the stalker for a while, and then I was just like, "Holy
Mhm.
shit, Blair Witch Project."
Mhm.
Yep.
And yeah, I'm sorry I sat on this for too long. These are all DVDs, by the way. Um but yeah, and Juno Temple, I've usually liked a lot of the stuff that she was in. Um I don't know if there's any other. Oh, Amy Irving, who of course was in Carrie and everything. But yeah,
Yep.
oh man, Joshua Leonard, what a son of a bitch in this
Uh-huh.
movie. Yeah, this one was really, really good. Unsane. I didn't purposely, go to my file, so that it
Underwater
just happened to turn.
Unsane.
Yeah, I know, it just happened to turn out that way. And since I bought this DVD because I always wanted to see it, it has Lance Henriksen, Tony Todd, Tiffany Shepis, and Edward Furlong in it. It's just a weird movie called Dark Real, and it goes back and forth from the past, and it's really kind of cheesy. Um, but I can't really describe it to you, but basically, I will say this: I'll watch anything with Lance Henriksen in it, and this had Tony Todd and Tiffany Shepis. Tiffany Shepis has a sex scene with Edward Furlong in it, which she should probably get a fucking Oscar for. But yeah, it's about a killer loose on a movie set, and it has to deal with bad stuff happening in the past and coming back and blah blah blah. I mean, it's okay, but it had Lance Henriksen in it, so I had to watch it. Other than that, that's all I had to watch.
Excellent. Mikey, what have you watched?
Okay, well, I finally did it, guys.
Oh, yeah.
We're closing the chapter on discussing this show on the podcast after bringing it up over and over and over again what we watched. But I finally started watching Darker Side of the Ring.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I've blasted through it. I'm all the way to the 3rd season already. So,
Attaboy.
oh my God. It's just, it's so good. And so
dark.
Wow. Just wow. I don't even know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so it'll kind of like really make you almost want to cry just what these guys go through.
Oh, the number of
Some of the stuff
episodes.
that's happened.
The number of episodes that end with either a wrestler dying or have killed someone is like 75% of this show. It's crazy. Out of watching all of these, and it's kind of cool because a lot of the same talking heads kind of pop up here and there. So you're kind of building this whole other like narrative going on with these guys that are talking about other things, but you're kind of learning about these other guys too. And my favorite talking head out of all this, I should have wrote it down. I can't remember the wrestler's name. But a heavier set African American man.
Great Moolah.
No, I don't think so. I think it began with a D or something like that. Anyway, he was part of New Jack's crew.
Oh.
And I think he was like the bodyguard in New Jack's crew. So after
D'Lo Brown.
Yes. And after watching that one, you think like, oh, this guy, he's just seemed like the nicest guy in the world, and he had been witness to some of the most tragic stuff that has happened.
Yeah.
He was there when Owen Hart fell, and he was the guy that paralyzed that other wrestler.
Draws.
Yes. And so, like, I just really sympathized. And then he had to work with New Jack, so I just really, really sympathized with this guy. But yeah, it's an amazing show.
He's a CPA.
Is he really?
Yeah, D'Lo's a certified public accountant.
Wow.
Yeah, he could be an accountant if he wants to be.
That's crazy. So yeah, you guys are right. It's a good show. So
Told you.
quit telling me to watch it. Finally did it. Speaking of telling me to watch things, thanks Andy. I did watch Hail to the Deadites. That's on Shudder now.
Oh yeah,
And that's a really good doc. Although to be honest with you, my favorite moments happen during the credits. It's like they saved all the good interviews with the celebrities for the credit sequences. There's just some of the best stories out of the whole movie happened during the closing credits. Anyway,
I haven't seen it in a while, so I can't quite remember. But
yeah. Well, because I mean, it's mostly supposed to be about the fan, about the fans. So the doc really focuses on individual fan stories. And I kind of maniacally chuckled, the little evil side in me about the couple that got married at a con, and it was like a total Evil Dead wedding, and it was like the effects guy or whatever was the moderator or whatever, and And then the movie ends with a follow up of each of the people that they highlighted in the movie, and they talked about how they're divorced now. And I'm like, oh, jeez. Anyway, so yeah, it's a good doc, and it's on Shudder now. So I would definitely recommend checking it out, especially if you're an Evil Dead fan at all. Last one I'll bring up, a movie from 2006, directed by Bobcat Goldthwait. I will watch anything he directs because the topics he chooses for movies are so awesome and bizarre and dark, and yet they're supposed to be straight up comedies. But I watched an earlier one of his. It's definitely on the technical side on the lower scale compared to his other stuff. It really felt like more of a Lifetime movie, but it's called Sleeping Dogs Lie.
Oh my God.
The subject matter alone is worth the viewing.
You did finish it, though.
I did finish it, yeah.
Oh my God.
A recently engaged woman's life is thrown into turmoil after confessing to her fiancé that she once experimented with bestiality.
Jesus.
Uh-huh.
And the whole opening sequence, especially knowing this going into the movie, is so freaking hilarious because it's her kind of in her early 20s, living on her own for the first time. She's in her apartment. She's getting ready for bed. She's got her like zit cream on her face and brushing her teeth. And she looks out in the living room and there's her dog laying on the floor, just spread eagle.
Uh-huh. Oh, it's fucking awesome.
And she's
I mean,
just,
it's not, but
you can just see the wheels turning in her head.
Uh-huh.
And then she just goes, I mean, it's suggested, you don't see it, but she goes down on the dog, and it is such a funny scene. And then the whole movie is just her end up confessing and how her just life falls apart after confessing it to her fiance, and it's such a messed up movie. And God bless you, Bobcat, man. That's all I gotta say.
What was his Sasquatch one that he made? What was that one? I thought that one was really good.
Willow Creek.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I like that
I
one
enjoyed
too.
that one.
I loved God Bless America.
Yes.
That's a great one.
Yes. I everything he's directed, I just love. And what's great about it is it just all falls into his sick and twisted comedy sensibility. Like his first one he directed, Shakes the Clown, is still one of my favorites of his as well. I wish he'd do more movies. He directs a lot, but he does like a lot of comedy specials and
He did
talk
like
shows and stuff.
I would say Kimmel Show forever.
Yeah. Anyway, that's what I watched.
hey, Tad, what'd you watch?
Not a whole lot, especially not movies. I was looking at my letterbox. I'm like, I've only watched one movie since we last recorded, and it was for First Time Podcast. It was a movie called It's Such a Beautiful Day. It is a animated movie about a stick figure that contemplates the meaning of life and battles with some severe depression and mental health issues. It's really interesting. I talk about it for an hour on my podcast, so if you want to hear more about
Get over there.
a stick figure movie, which you probably don't, that's where I will be talking about that one. But I watched a few series. I started Peacemaker, and I watched the first episode, and I just the tone of it is so strange that I'm having a hard time grasping it. I'm sure I'll get back to it, but it didn't grasp me like right away to watch the second one. But it's interesting. It's a very different take on superheroes. Another series I finished was Afterlife with Ricky Gervais. The final season is on Netflix, and it's very sad, but very, very great. Made me cry. And then one new show that I've discovered is Saturday Morning All-Stars. All-Star
yes.
Hits with Kyle Mooney on Netflix.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah. Brandy and
This
I
show-
just marathoned that too.
Yeah, that show is fucking wild, man. It's so funny.
So funny.
Kyle Mooney, and it gets all kinds of celebrities to do voiceover roles, but it's as if you're watching sort of a Saturday morning local TV show with like cartoons and animated with like these two brothers that are hosts that are totally 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I can't really even explain it without watching it, but it's
Yeah.
has the commercials and has the it's as if like 80s late 80s, early 90s cartoons, but they deal with real life dark situations like Care Bears,
yeah.
but it's sort of fucked up, and like this dinosaur who's going to music college, and
Yeah.
he's an alcoholic, and
Yeah. There's a lot of dark themes in the cartoons, and it's hilarious.
oh god, it's so, and it's the great thing that keeps it going is that it's so accurate. Like, it's clear that Kyle Mooney has a love for this, like these early morning Saturday morning cartoons and TV shows, that it feels real. It's like so well put together.
Oh,
and
yeah.
real, feels like the animation style and the way it's filmed to make it look like it's old and standard def and stuff. It's so good. I mean, and they're like 20-minute episodes, so
Yeah.
flip it on. It's something that I watch like as I'm laying down for bed or something between two things. You know, it's like such an easy watch to binge. So
Mhm.
check that out on Netflix.
Yeah, it's really funny and yeah, easy digestible, and again, yes, the accuracy of the look and the feel of watching Saturday morning 80s cartoons is spot on. And the whole thing plays out as if we're watching each episode is somebody's VCR tape of them recording it off of TV. So
Right.
what the coolest part is about this is not only is it just like a straight up kind of goofy kind of sketch comedy thing, but more than that, that there is actual storyline threads that go throughout this entire series, and I just thought it was brilliantly put together. It's hilarious, but just the story threads, even that the way the show is presented, like its VCR tapes, actually plays a part into the story thread when you get to the end, which is really cool.
Like, does it look like you have tracking issues and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, you know, there's sometimes there's jumps in like a commercial start and then it'll skip like back to the cartoon, or and then you get some tracking issues and sometimes some rainbows and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's really unique and fresh, and I really was surprised by it, and I just love that, like, we have streaming services because this would never be something that could actually be on TV, but
No.
thanks to, you know, it's like, and again, like, praise to guys like Paul Rudd, who's on this. He does a voice, like a lead character voice. Like, I love that Paul, he can do Ant-Man for Marvel, but he's also doing these little favors for his friends. I mean, he's been on Tim and Eric. Like, Paul Rudd will, you know, if it's funny, he has a good nose for like what's funny and good, and he just does things. Even it doesn't matter if it's just a voiceover or if it's just this weird character in a Tim and Eric sketch. He's just gonna do it if it's funny and he enjoys it. So props to him. I love that guy.
Me too.
I like heard his voice. I'm like, and Nikki was like, "Is that Paul Rudd?" And I had to look it up. I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Why is he doing this voice?" because it's funny, and you know, he probably was. They offered it to him, and he's like, "This is hilarious. Let's do it." So
The real Tommy Wallace.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's what I've watched.
Awesome.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Tad. Now, everybody out there listening, get your tweets ready and vote for me because it's Jason and pole position.
From now on, like your parents were, you are the secret force of pole position.
Swaying the crowd before it even starts.
What? I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm just saying, just a quick peek behind the curtain. The current poll up right now, you're actually leading.
Woo!
Believe it or not. But we're not
course.
going to look at those yet. We're going to get into today's poll position, and today's poll position question is, what is your favorite kill scene with a chainsaw? Now, I didn't verify with you guys we do 2 rounds this time, but I would love to, and
I'm ready for
Okay, me
I'm
too.
ready for multiple rounds. So.
I hope so.
Hmm.
Let me stall while you think about that. As I go over to the random number generator, Mike is 1, I am 2, Tad is 3, Andy is 4, and I will...
Wait, is there no recap of?
No, because we had the award shows. So we didn't do them,
so
and
we're kind of
we're catching up. Next week we'll be able to do a look back.
Sorry, my bad.
That's all right. Oh, snap. We got Insane Mike, and then Jason, and then Andy, and then Tad. And we'll do it snake draft style.
I thought you just read a different order.
This is the random number generator. I'm sorry, pal. You got the 4th and 5th pick. That's pretty cool.
they'll probably both the two I wrote down are going to be gone by then. So we'll see.
I don't know. I feel like mine are pretty unique. Well, half of mine are unique.
Yep. So, all right. Insane Mike, you are up first with pick number 1. What is your favorite kill scene with a chainsaw?
Okay, so I'm going to go with probably one of my more unique ones, just to be nice to the rest of you guys. But it is probably one of my favorite chainsaw scenes of all time, so whatever. But it's when Peter Jackson as Derek jumps down from the ceiling onto an alien and saws his way all the way through the alien and comes out the alien's ass and says he's born again in Bad Taste.
And I gotta remember how to write this down.
In my notes, I just put Peter Jackson, parentheses, born again, in Bad Taste.
I got it. Okay, so I'm up next. Now I'm in a predicament because...
Was that one of yours?
No, I do have one from Bad Taste. Oops. But I mean, I got this one that I know is going to be votes, and then I know what my favorite... I don't even know what my... Well, okay, so I'm gonna go with the classic scene from American Psycho when he drops the chainsaw. That's why I took it. And he drops it down the stairwell. Get thinking, buddy. You got a minute.
I left that off of my list because I knew it would be on tabs.
So American Psycho. So Andy, you're up next with the third pick.
Okay, I am gonna go with Ben Richards versus Buzzsaw in The Running Man, where he splits him up in the middle. He's like, "It's all right, you keep it," and he splits him up, and he had to split.
Wow, I wasn't expecting that. That's good.
That's a good one. No pun intended. Deeper cut.
And Ted, pick number 4.
Well,
you still got one on your board. That's good.
Yeah, well, I had to add a few, but man, I have to say I appreciate Andy knowing that he's not going to get any votes for that one, but putting it in because he knows that it's a good one. Like that's an Andy pick. He knows he's going to lose every week, but he goes with his heart. And Andy, goddamn it, I appreciate you for that.
It's the fucking
I'm going
running,
to.
man.
I get to choose 2, right?
Because 2 in a row, 4 and 5.
All right, so I'm going to go with one that's actually popped up in at least one other poll position for me. I don't remember what episode it even was. Maybe I can't remember why this came up, but the opening in Texas Chainsaw 2.
Yep, that's on my list.
He buzzes off the top of his head like on the bridge like a fucking hat. Yeah. I absolutely adore that scene. Tom Savini, badass. It's so cool. Because they just keep driving and the top of his head just is cleanly sliced off.
Fucking scene.
And then the second pick is from Hatchet 2.
Oh, that was on my list too.
Where Victor Crowley has the impossibly mile-long chainsaw that puts Leatherface in Part 3s to shame. This chainsaw is, you could saw a block in half. A city block, that is. He goes up the crotch of two men and 2 guys at the same time, shooting him in the chest with the shotguns, and goes right from crotch to through their head and splits them down the middle. Picks them up with the chainsaw. It doesn't make any sense, but it's so bloody and just so dumb. I have to put it in there.
Very nice. All right, Andy, you're up with pick 6.
Oh man, I really want to go with Reggie Bannister chainsawing that one dude in the dick in Phantasm 2, but instead I will go with Morgan when he's hanging from the chandelier and he's got no place to go in the 2003 Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and he gets split through the uprights. Even I think Cinema of Fear made like a
I have it, yeah.
Yeah, I have it too, and it's they made a longer scene of it, but it was so graphic that they had to, pan away, and they just kind of saw his legs moving, and then they just like all this guts and, probably his junk somewhere in there is like falling to the floor.
Good one. Oh man, so I'm up next, pick 7. I am very torn right now. I have 4 or 5 still on my list here that I would love. Oh man, I can't even. Okay, so I watched a lot of these clips too beforehand, and I'm gonna pick one that just put me back in the movie, put me back in the scene. I can't believe how amazing this scene is, and how utterly graphic and bloody. This is the bloodiest scene maybe ever recorded with cinema history. The 2013 Evil Dead.
All right.
Nice.
Watch that scene again. She just puts it right in his head while it's raining blood. It's just red, and you're seeing the chainsaw in his head while he's on his hands and knees. It's fucking real. That's my pick. Evil Dead 2013.
Nice. Man, what one am I gonna go with? I think what I'm gonna go with. I'm also gonna go with Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Unless I should do it. Should I do a different movie?
Huh? That makes.
But I love it. The chainsaw duel where Leatherface gets a chainsaw through his gut and he's still fighting as the blade is still moving and it's sticking out of his back. It's freaking cool. That's so very freaking awesome. So I'll go with that one.
That's good. That's good. All right, we did it.
Some honorable mentions. I just have to say Franklin was on my list
Absolutely,
because
that's the one I
fuck him.
kept.
Yeah,
Hey.
fuck Franklin.
But
And
the
it's
scene, it comes out of nowhere, and
it's just so one of the times I'm just absolutely rooting for Leatherface. I'm like, end
Aw.
this guy.
That's innocent.
Yeah, and then he eats the chainsaw. So good. He's yelling. He's yelling at the poor girl trying to push him in a wheelchair through the woods. Like, fuck him. He deserved it. Leatherface wouldn't have been there if he just shut the fuck up. So
it's hard terrain. It's hard terrain just to walk on, let alone push a wheelchair, and he's still acting like an asshole.
Yeah, nobody's ever deserved it more from Leatherface. So
I can't believe you guys didn't pick Mandy with the big duel.
I saw the duel, but was there a death there?
He does fall on it at the end. He wraps the chain around his neck and pulls him forward, and he falls on the running chainsaw on the ground.
I couldn't remember how it ended.
That's how I saw. Yeah, but that
Of course, there's 31 where Psycho doesn't land on the chainsaw, and it's
the way that scene is shot is so hard to even see. Like it's shot like fucking shaky cam
that way.
Yeah, I don't even know what happened in that scene.
I am disappointed in all y'all. Like, whenever you think of chainsaw and horror movies, 2 names come to mind: Leatherface and Ashley Williams.
Yeah.
And I had on my list cutting up Henrietta in Evil Dead 2.
Yep.
Great movie, great, but not one of my favorite scenes.
Sure.
But I have to vote for Jason's because American Psycho is the best one out of all of them. He's naked running through the hallway with a chainsaw and drops it down a stairwell.
Drops it down the stairwell.
but he apparently took time to put on sneakers.
Well, hell yeah, you got to get traction, man. He's not a complete psycho. He's an American psycho, okay?
Had another one for bad taste.
I'm just
pointing out. That was your bad taste.
Lord Crumb gets the head split and falls apart in half. There's an amazing scene in the Texas Chainsaw, the beginning, where he sticks him in the spine from the back and then lifts him up off the ground with it running. And it's fucking beautiful.
Jordana Brewster gets it through the back seat of the car just at the end of Texas Chainsaw at the beginning.
One I had on mine, just for comedy's sake, is naked Michelle Bauer chainsawing a John and his severed hand cops a feel in Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers.
I assumed that would make your list somehow.
I had to get a Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers reference in there.
All right, well, that was pretty fun. I'll get your butts on over to Twitter at AOTKP. Get your votes in on who picked the best 2 kill scenes with a chainsaw, and that is the pole position.
Thanks, Jason.
You're welcome, Mike.
It's movie time. Get your popcorn a-poppin' and your soda-ing.
Bubbling.
And that's better. And it's time to talk about some Texas Chainsaw Massacre ripoff movies. Movies that are either inspired by or just blatantly ripped off Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
So where'd this one come from? What inspired this episode?
One of the movies on the
Okay.
list I wanted to watch really bad,
Yeah.
and when after I saw it, I'm like, I need to make these guys watch this movie
Oh, like punishment. If I have to watch it, you
No,
have to watch.
because it's fucking awesome.
Okay.
And I can't wait. You guys should probably guess which one it is.
Uh-huh.
But first, Tad, what's the first movie we're going to talk about?
The first movie we're talking about is from 1990, and it is Blood Salvage.
Strange things are happening at Jake's junkyard.
Helping people's my business, Up in.
Great.
Things that no one can explain.
What do you suppose these stupid hicks know about fixing cars?
Well, I imagine they know a whole lot about fixing cars. I mean, what else they got to do around here?
Things that no one can believe.
I want that girl, and I'm gonna have her.
Do you think she's pretty? I think she's pretty.
What you want with a cripple, anyway?
Things that are only supposed to happen in bad dreams.
Come on in and meet the family.
What have you done to my mother?
There's a little girl out in Salt Lake City who could use that heart. Might bring about 40, 45.
Mama! Daddy, help!
That's the last time we inviting strangers to dinners.
Why is your daddy doing this to me?
'Cause he wants to fix you.
Fix me?
Dang, really?
If you break down in Jake's neighborhood, say your prayers and run like hell.
They're drugged, right?
Kick 'em and see.
Please help me. I'm sorry. I can't.
Praise the Lord. Another convert.
I'm gonna kill you. I made two walls, and the first thing you do is run out on me. Come on, you little whore.
Now this is going to hurt.
I knew something like this was going to happen.
Blood salvage. If Jake can't fix it, it's been dead too long.
Okay, Blood Salvage is a twisted tale about a crazy preaching redneck named Jake who kidnaps people off the highway and performs sick medical experiments on them. He then proceeds to sell their organs on the black market to Mr. Stone. Everything is fine until he kidnaps the handicapped April and finds that she is harder to control than the others. This one, I watched probably 3 or 4 days ago, and all I really remember is that it has some pretty recognizable faces. John Saxon, why did he agree to this? That's, I don't know, man.
Evander Holyfield.
What the
Yeah.
fuck
Yeah,
is he
Evander
doing in this? I saw him,
With
and I'm like,
lines.
I'm like, he's really in this. That's him. Like, in his prime. Like,
I saw that he got a producer cred. When I saw that, I paused it and I rewound it and I was like, okay, it's Evander Holyfield. And I'm just like, okay, it can't be him. And as soon as I'm getting used to the idea that there might be more than one Evander Holyfield in this world,
he shows up.
Evander Holyfield.
Not only the fact that he's in this movie, but his character is, of course, himself. As a boxer, boxing at a freaking carnival contest at some state fair thing,
right?
In some redneck town.
It's clear that it's clear that he got some kind, like you said, got some kind of producer credit, and he was like, I want to be in it, and they're like, how do we write a boxer into it? Well, he has to play himself.
Feels like,
because it makes no sense. Like, what's the trick? They blindfold him and. He gets like one punch.
Calls him a bastard. I'm just like, okay.
He gets like one punch and he punches the guy in the face. Like I wasn't even following. I'm like, what the fuck is this? I was so taken back by seeing him that I was like, I don't really understand what he's even doing. Like as his character himself in the movie. I don't know, man. This movie is zany, but it was at least watchable. I mean, it's not memorable though. I mean, that's what I feel like, and this will be a common theme throughout these is that they're. Because they're ripoffs, they're very forgettable. To me, at least.
So the constant thing that I think Jason still can't understand about me is my love for bad movies.
Uh-huh.
How I can love bad movies and then get mad or pissed off or hate, high quality
Good
Hollywood
movies?
movies, right?
It wasn't shitty enough.
Right.
Here's the thing: I do have a couple of rules that even bad movies can break to the point where I don't like them. Rule number 1: if it's boring, and even if like the bad production value or whatever can't entertain me enough, and the storyline's bad enough. And 2, I get a kick out of bad production value when I love it. But there is one crime that, as I get older and older and watch more and more movies, that I can't seem to get past. That is a true crime of bad cinema, when it truly becomes a bad movie for me, is when it's bad sound. And holy shit.
It's the worst sound in the universe. I watched it with headphones, and that was
oh my
a
god, I'm
nightmare.
sorry.
Well, for me, it switched like halfway through, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
It was very inconsistent.
It went from like stereo to like I literally got out of my chair and kept hitting all the settings on my surround sound. I thought it was like my settings. No, it's just in the middle of a scene. It switches from like the dialogues in like the middle speaker. Then it moves to the outside speakers. Then it's behind me, and I'm like, who the fuck mixed this? Like,
it's horribly mixed, and specifically a few scenes, like a lot of the outdoor scenes after they ride off in the RV after the beauty contest. It's like the next day, and there's just some outside dialogue scenes that are echoey because I feel like they used lapels and boom and
they didn't
separate. Yeah.
Right. And there's a little delay on each.
I'd say there's a scene I actually saw the boom.
Oh, several
times.
So I know they're using it.
Yeah.
And who uses a freaking
30 seconds in the kitchen? You could see
Right.
the damn thing dangling over his head.
Oh, in the trailer or in the RV too, the one of the scenes where the daughter's sitting there right at the beginning. It's plain as day, sitting just dangling there too. And who uses a boom mic with a bright yellow?
No, that is why you use it, so you know that it's.
Oh, so you know it's there. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Camera operator sees it. Yeah,
but yeah,
They just lower it down by a string like they do in Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
I
Bruce Buffer. Yeah.
I just want to read
Michael
these.
Buffer.
I just want to read these names off: Jed Dodge, Donald Murphy, and Philip Soretti. Those are the people you can thank for the sound department on this movie and how they continue to have careers in sound on film. I mean, I looked each of them up individually. This is how disturbed I was about the sound quality in this movie. Exactly. Each of them have well over 100 credits in different sound departments.
Must work really cheap.
They must. They had to have left this movie off their resume, man.
Evander Holyfield should have gone and punched them for this.
Yeah.
He was in his prime.
It's got the great Ray Walston.
Yes, I was excited.
Another
to see,
shining light of this movie.
I was excited to see him, although I don't know. I can't tell if that was
Barely used him.
His choice in the performance, because he's supposed to be kind of skittish and everything because of what is actually going on, or if he's just phoning it in because he really doesn't want to be there, because I kind of get that impression too.
Well,
because he's really, it's kind of soft-spoken. And
the real question about what really happened is John Saxon. Like,
dude,
was this the worst?
I'll tell you what
thing that is it his fault? Because
I think this has got to be a great example of what I said for years, is that you cannot blame an actor for a bad performance. You blame the director. Because
he's better than this.
We know John Saxon can act. We know, and I've probably said it. I've surely have said it in the past that there's no such thing as a bad John Saxon movie. Well, guess what? I was proven wrong. He is bad in this.
Yeah,
he cannot
mean
carry.
To be negative, but
he can't carry that Southern accent. It was so in and out, and wow,
it's bad.
Just wow. Poor John Saxon.
And the overacting by whoever Hiram was, he just was just so damn over the top. I mean, I just think he could have dialed it back about 30 notches.
Sure.
Go kill you, with his fists up and shit. Like, I mean, it's like he was like, he was every time he was talking, it sounded like he was straining to take a shit or something. Man, it was just.
I thought of the three movies that we're talking about tonight. This one was the most rip-off one.
You feel like it was most rip-off?
Or the best. I mean, like, in the first part of the movie, this one literally has the door sliding shut.
Yeah.
With him behind it.
Yeah.
Just the way that they pick up, they got a hitchhiker. I mean, there's the dummy out there luring them into. There's the gas station action.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
a family.
And a family.
Yeah.
The Leatherface dumb brother guy. I mean, they tried real hard.
There's a weird thing.
Character in a wheelchair. It's the girl instead of Franklin.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, the one thing I wanted to say, here's the weird thing. I got, with all the people inside there when he's preaching and doing all this, I got like a weird sort of Motel Hell kind of vibe from it.
Yeah, I kind of thought that too, yeah.
Only being that Motel Hell is actually entertaining and good. But
yeah. I mean, yeah, our lead in this movie is her name. The character's name is April. She's in a wheelchair. She's kind of our main protagonist in this film. And I'd have to say, wheel-bound characters in horror movies. I'll take Franklin any day over April.
Yep.
Like, she was such a bitch in this movie that I did not give a fuck. I'm sorry you're in a wheelchair and everything, but she was a brat.
Stupid hicks.
I did not give a shit about her.
She was asking for it, yeah, for sure.
And it's a bummer too, because when the parents are gone, the little kid is gone, and she's in the Winnebago by herself with the shotgun. I kind of dug that. I'm like, what if this was the whole movie? This whole standoff between her and these rednecks with this, and she, her only thing keeping them from coming in is this shotgun. And she can't
say her ass wasn't proactive, man. I mean, she took initiative.
And she's in a wheelchair, so she can't get away. I'm like, oh, this is great. But then, the Winnebago stuff didn't last nearly as long as it should. That should have been the majority of the movie.
Speaking of the Winnebago at the end, which I couldn't understand, Hiram goes after his dad, right? Or his dad just decides to hide while he's melting and on fire, and lets his flesh fuse to upholstery underneath the Winnebago. He decides to put himself out and then hide in the Winnebago, and just apparently he can handle third-degree burns all over his body and not make a sound.
I'll be honest, I did like Jake Pruitt, the Danny Nelson played.
The dad. Is that the dad? Okay.
Yeah, I liked him at the end of the day. I mean, he's a scotch simpleton-ish, but like I thought he was the best part probably of the movie.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I liked him.
I think he was probably the best part. He was maybe the saving grace of this movie, but if there is one,
he was fun.
Yeah.
And that Torino Rex, it's not gonna just magically roll over and start again and be able to that thing went sky high and rolled about 4 times, and it's just sorry.
Yeah, sorry guys. This is the one on the list that was like, okay, I have 5 different movies to choose from. I'm gonna throw the names in a hat and pick one. So this was the.
I'm glad I can say that I've actually seen it though.
Oh yeah, it's
enough.
definitely a box that I remember seeing all the time in the video store. And, I've seen that poster everywhere. When I'm flipping through Tubi, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that from the early '90s. But I'd never seen it, so it's definitely awesome to get it kind of checked off the list.
I would love to actually know what Evander Holyfield thinks of this.
Yeah, it's no Rabid Grannies, but it was all right. It was. I also saw here.
Don't start.
It was the last film released by Paragon.
I can see why.
That was coming.
Yep.
The first and last, apparently.
Okay, Jason, what's our next movie?
Our next film is from the year 2004. Skinned Deep.
From the special effects creator of Leprechaun, Gabe Bartolos, comes a new icon of terror. They came to the country for peace and quiet.
My family and I were out on a little vacation, and one of our tires blew out.
My house is right across the street.
You people are really so nice out here.
But in this town, nothing is what it seems. And secrets can kill. Look into the face of evil and pray for your soul. Featuring the music of Captain Sensible from the hit TV show The Young Ones. Introducing the Surgeon General, Octobaby, The Brain, and featuring the star of Harry Potter and Willow, Warwick Davis as Plates. Meet the Surgeon General. Skin deep. Obey your fears.
A family's flat tire on a barren stretch of road with only a diner dotting the landscape leads them to Granny, the seemingly nice old woman who runs the establishment. Written, produced, directed by Gabe Bartolos. This Warwick Davis vehicle. Woo, baby. I just know what I'm cosplaying for this year. My new favorite superhero plates. Skinned Deep, fellas. I'm going to guess this is the one that you made us watch. I mean...
You are correct, sir. Because this movie is fucking awesome. Go.
I can't get to the sound fast enough. There. Oh, there it is.
It's unbelievably incompetent in filmmaking, but I have to say that the special, like the makeup effects and character designs and stuff, are wild.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
The brain guy. Oh my god, that's fucking awesome, and it made me laugh a lot. But it looks like
absolutely.
It's like we had all this cool, like somebody knew how to do this cool things, and we tried to write a movie around it. The acting was just so bad. The story made absolutely no sense. There's parts that just made no sense in the writing, but no, I know I sort of crapped on it in the group chat, and I was talking to Brian Clark about it, and he was like, he knew instantly what it was from one cell phone picture I took, and he's like, of course, he's like, it's fucking awesome. What are you talking about?
Favorite film of 2004, man.
Right. Exactly.
You know what? It might be. I'm going to have to go back and look at 2004.
Oh, God, no.
Well,
Andy's awfully quiet.
I'm saving what I have to say for the end because, like, I feel like I have some defending to do.
Yeah. I will say this. I like the design of, you know, the interior design of the house, just because it's just so damn weird. And I'm assuming that's kind of like where we're getting the Texas Chainsaw kind of vibes and whatnot. And, you know, the tow truck scene where, you know, they're trying to ambush, you know, the people in the other car. But yeah, I was not expecting, you know, Willow Ufgood cosplaying as Rutger Hauer's character in Blade Runner, and then throwing plates at people. But
yeah, what should we call him? I don't know. He throws plates. How about plates?
yeah,
Brilliant.
What's wrong with that?
I mean, like I said, this movie is unintentionally hilarious. When Plates' head gets, lopped off and you hear this high-pitched squeal go through the air, I laugh my ass off.
See, I think some of this is, at first I thought it was unintentional. I think it's intentional. It's just...
Oh,
right.
It's 100% intentional. This movie is hilarious.
I'm looking at a picture of Brains with the... I mean, he had an Indian headdress.
Right.
And he had a... helmet.
Yeah, you're looking at the picture where he's wearing the knight in shining armor helmet, but it's several helmets welded together because his head and brain is so giant that a normal knight in shining armor helmet would not fit over his head, so they've welded several together. And I like how on certain spots of that helmet where it's supposed to be the face mask, but it's not the part that's in front of his face. It's got a sticker on it that says "wrong," like that's not the one to lift up. I think it's hilarious.
This made this to me, and I'll say this and let everyone else go because I've already spoken, but I'll forget if I don't say it now. This felt more like a House of Thousand Corpses ripoff to me. Which is a Texas Chainsaw ripoff, but I'm like that guy is tiny. It's like almost like a spoof. Like if Scary Movie did a ripoff of House of a Thousand Corpses, like the Wayans brothers, this would be it.
Yeah,
I brought you some soup and money. I don't. Do I really need to say anything more than that? And this dad, what an unassuming fucking dunce this guy is, and the parents are just so fucking stupid. It's like nobody is that naive. Nobody walks into the. I would take one step into that house and I was just like, okay, guy's got a model plane collection. But as soon as I started seeing all this other weird shit, I'm just like, we can walk. I can push the fucking van with a flat tire. I don't give a shit. And whatever that fucking shit they slid in front of him, and he's just like, thanks, brain. And it's like this weird fleshy shit that he starts eating off this chunk of cardboard or whatever the hell that thing was. Yeah, it just didn't seem believable to me at all. I mean, it's just like, come to think of it, now that you say it, it's like it probably was intentional. Like this, there's no way that people would fall for this.
Well, the way they react to things is so. I mean, it's not a way a human. Like it's like if you hired your like your friend, you pulled people off the street or like family that's never acted before, and you put them in front of a camera, and it's like act, and you only do one take. That's what it came off as, because it's like that's not how humans react to things. Like that whole dinner table scene where they're sitting, they come in and they sit down for dinner, and the like brains in the corner, and then the doctor guy, and it's like no one's reacting to this. Like, are they seeing this? And there's a scene where they're out and the rest of the family's being killed, and she's like not react. I don't know.
She watched her brother get chopped in half, and not.
His mother's
2 seconds
throat
later
got slit, and it's silence.
Right, and I just don't get it. Like,
no shit, man. It's yeah, you're gonna have a hell of a time digging yourself out of this fucking hole, Mike. I don't know.
I'm just at a loss for words, but I'm waiting until you guys are done.
And these geezer bikers who just allow them. I mean, I don't know how you're going to put a plastic explosive in a peace sign, let alone.
Mike, can I tell you what I thought?
I loved it.
I'm waiting.
I loved it.
Yeah, not this time, buddy. I'm sorry.
Oh.
This is the first time in 11 years I paused it in the middle to go to the bathroom, and I came back and I spent 5 minutes just being like, do I just not finish this and just fake it?
God, no.
I hated this so much. This is one of the worst movies in 11 years you've ever made us watch. I can't believe this counts as a movie in the world. And it comes from Gabe Bartalos, who we love, and he's amazing, and that doesn't make him a good filmmaker. I'm sorry.
Oh, I can't wait to watch his next one.
I will watch it because it's Gabe Bartalos, but this movie's not good. And guys listening that I know that y'all messaged me last week about like, oh yeah, you made Rabbit Granny sound awesome. No, this one is don't watch this. It's not so bad. It's good. Whatever Mike's about to say.
Oh, Jesus.
Plates.
Yes. That's his selling point.
Oh, okay. Then please continue.
Or the fact that he got into a fight with the guy on the cover of Bum Fights.
Oh my God.
But am I surprised that you love it? I don't know that I'm surprised.
I don't understand. I don't truly understand. I don't know. Maybe I feel like you guys didn't get it. Like you missed it.
Oh, I'm sure that happened.
This is straight up a comedy, 100% satirical, almost parody-like comedy. You can't tell me that it's bad filmmaking, unintentional comedy when you have a character who has the brain that's bigger than his entire body.
Well, that's what I'm saying is that this is a Scary Movie-esque Wayans Brothers spoof on Texas Chainsaw, but those are funny.
And I'm saying this failed as a comedy.
I thought this was hilarious.
Yeah.
The end fight scene with the ancient. First of all, I love the ancient ones. The ancient ones. This senior citizen biker gang, which has Forrest Ackerman in it. By the way, I don't know if you guys got that.
I did. Yeah. I did see that. Yeah.
I thought it was hilarious. And you want to talk about what I feel like this movie is homaging, and other than Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I don't think it's a ripoff of House of 1,000 Corpses. This really feels like, to me, and I want to think it's intentional. Like the quality of the filmmaking down to like the actual image of the whatever they filmed it on really to me feels like something out of the super low budget mid 80s freaking New York trash scene movies like Basket Case and and Street Trash. I mean, it has that look and aesthetic to it, in my opinion, and I love those freaking movies. So right out of the gate, I'm on board. Plus you got just like crazy over-designed characters like the Surgeon General or the Brain, which again,
I loved
totally feels like a love letter to everything Frank Henenlotter. And I probably pick up on that more than probably the average person, just because I know Gabe Bartalos worked a lot with Frank Henenlotter. He did like 80% of Frank Henenlotter's movies effects.
How creative is it to have the creator as a bodybuilder without a fucking head?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I thought that was cool. And it looked cool too.
It did look cool.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. Like, there's only for me the redeemable part was the designs and the makeup was sort of cool.
Absolutely.
And the set designs were really cool.
Well, even then, like, Jesus Christ, do you have to use a fish lens every other scene? It felt like a 90s rock music video at times, which again makes me think of House of 1,000 Corpses. I'm like, Rob Zombie didn't know what he was doing, so he's like, let's use filters and lenses and do these weird out scenes so that you don't notice how shitty this movie is. That's what this felt like.
I don't know. Maybe a little bit too much on that. I don't know. I still thought it was well made because I thought it was made that way 100% on purpose to emulate the things that he wanted to emulate. And again, I feel like movies like Basket Case and Street Trash and Toxic Avenger and films from the New York area made at that time that I feel like probably Gabe Bartalos is also a huge fan of. I mean,
Sure.
seems obvious to me because, again, he worked with Frank Henenlotter a lot, and just the second I saw The Brain, I didn't even have to. I mean, I knew going in this was Gabe Bartelos' directorial debut, but as soon as I saw The Brain, I would have instantly been like, "Yep, this is a Gabe Bartelos film," because the general design of that effect down to the materials he used to build it kind of has that almost like Nerf look quality to it that's really reminiscent of the different mutants in like Basket Case 2 and 3, where the I don't know if it's I'm assuming it was foam latex that he used, but the effects look a little more spongy than actual fleshy looking. But I love it. It's great. It's great. And again, you also can't tell me that this is a movie that is trying to be serious when the brain's head gets split open.
Yeah. What
and
the hell's the
blocks come out, like children's letter blocks
what is
come
that
out.
even about? I didn't understand.
Love and hate.
Yeah.
when
Because he stepped on. What? Yeah, but why?
Oh, that's
Right.
funny.
Why though? Why is that funny?
What does it mean?
Does it have to
Why
mean
is it
anything?
in his head?
It's just
kinda
weird and
was-
awesome and funny.
That was the word I was saying throughout the movie, but
Why?
yeah.
I
I
don't
will
know.
say this though, points for having probably one of the most unique characters I've ever seen in a long time with plates. I mean, just like, and it's so simplistic and so stupid, but yet who thinks of this shit?
I know.
this-
It's so different and unique, and it's dumb, but I think it's dumb. It's dumb on purpose. And kudos to Warwick Davis for doing this. I read he did it as a favor to Gabe because they worked on Leprechaun, obviously.
But at least he had 2 5-minute soliloquies about his character.
Because poor Warwick Davis doesn't get enough actual dialogue.
No, I was all for that.
Yeah.
He gave an analogy about society and a dinner
ceramic
plate.
plate, yeah.
I mean, yes, maybe
Wow.
those diatribes are way too long, but you gotta say, holy shit, did he put everything into that?
Sure.
It is so
give him
fucking
that.
over the top that I just think it's amazing. And I'm sorry, it looks like again he did this as a favor to Gabe, but it just looks like he's having a blast. Looks
I would
like he's
too
just
if I
having
got
so
to
much
throw
fun.
plates all day.
I know. And I love how he's got plates planted in the dirt in the yard, shit like that. And that whole final scene with them and the freaking biker gang I just thought was hilarious. I love how just slow moving and inept and such stilted performances from the biker gang. I just thought it was great. It just really felt like to me that Gabe did not hire actors. He went to an old folks home and got real people to play the biker gang. And I love it. It's
He
like,
didn't hire actors for any of this.
it's like, to me, again, it feels like movies from that era, but it also really was reminiscent to me of something like The Greasy Strangler, where he's like intentionally putting these like non-actors in these roles to get just the weirdest performances out of these people. And I don't know, I guess I like that stuff.
And the difference from this one to all those other examples is I had a really hard time finding the acting endearing in that bad way. In this one, it was just bad. It was hard to get past it.
Man, I wish Brian was here. Damn it. Well, Brian, when you're out there listening to this,
we're all going to hear about it.
Try not to
worry.
run off the road. Because I need you, buddy. I need you.
Didn't get it.
Like phone in a reply to all this hate, or leave some amazing, massive soliloquy to a major essay on our Facebook page, letting us know the beauty of Skin Deep. Anyway, well, I've tried. I tried my best. Hopefully, Brian can help me out and back me up. I tried my best to rationalize this movie, but I don't know. I guess it just connected with me where it didn't connect with you guys.
Sure.
So we can move on.
It happens.
We'll watch it again, but we'll watch it all together. I guarantee you'll like it in a group setting. Okay, Andy, what's our last movie?
Our last film comes to us from 1982, and it is called Pieces.
Warning. What you will see in the movie Pieces cannot be revealed, cannot be described, cannot even be imagined. And you don't have to go to Texas for a chainsaw massacre. Pieces. It's exactly what you think it is. Pieces. Absolutely no one under 17 will be admitted.
Okay, while playing with a puzzle, a teenager is repressed by his mother, and he kills her and severs her body with an axe. 40 years later, in a university campus in Boston, a serial killer kills young women and severs their bodies in parts, stealing body pieces from each student. Lieutenant Bracken makes a deal with the dean of the campus and infiltrates the agent Mary Riggs as if she were a tennis teacher, and together with the student Kendall, they try to find the identity of the killer. I really, really like this movie, even though it's just really not that great.
So Mike just said.
It's
explain yourself.
I'm gonna try. There's a lot of, of course, chainsaw kills, and this killer is, to the best I can tell, is basically trying to recreate his mother because he's got her shoes and her dress, and he's using parts, and he's kind of constructing her, basically kind of Frankenhooker style, and sewing her back together, and trying to make his mother that he killed, or just in her likeness in some way. And of course, he's chainsawing these co-eds and the dean, and he wants these killings to stop as well as everybody. And a lot of them, one happens in broad daylight where this co-ed gets her head, just chainsawed off, which, broad daylight, okay, that's a bit of a stretch. Somebody's going to be, going to make a mess, and you're going to be seen carrying a head around, or whatever body part. But whatever, it's a horror movie. I'm along for the ride. The one thing that there's a lot of the kills are, very gory and whatnot, some by the swimming pool, and others, like the girl in the shower, where you see like the chainsaw go through her side, and she's all bloody and everything. And of course there's, lots of pieces and whatnot. But to me, some of the funniest stuff in this film is just does not make any sense. We've got like a kung fu master that comes out of nowhere.
Bruce Lee.
Yeah. And he jumps this undercover cop, played by Mary Riggs, that's put there. Mary Riggs, played by Linda Day George, onto the campus. And the student Kendall that's trying to help them find the killer comes by. He just goes, "Oh yeah, this is my crime stuff." It's like, so apparently it's just okay to assault a woman on campus while there's a killer around, not to mention also a police officer. But as long as you know kung fu, it's okay, and they just let him go.
That's my favorite scene of this whole movie, is that
Jesus.
so awkward, out of nowhere Bruce Lee scene. Joe Bob talked about it, but it's also in the IMDb trivia that the producer, Dick Randall, was making kung fu, Bruce Lee kung fu ripoff movies at the time, with all these.
Oh man!
And one of his main stars was Bruce Lee, L.E., and so just threw him in the movie because he had him, And it is such a forced in scene that makes no sense and screeches the movie to a halt.
Movie in a movie, like this is a Texas Chainsaw ripoff with a Bruce Lee ripoff in the Texas Chainsaw ripoff.
Right.
Like he does some kung fu moves and then passes out, and then when he gets up, he's like, "Oh, too much chow mein," and then walks off.
He's gone. Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's awesome. Nothing is
It's so
nothing is better
absurd.
than watching this with somebody for the first time that has never seen it. And Brandy and I were watching it for the show, and she was just like, "What the fuck did I just see?" Oh, it's so good.
It's so 80s it doesn't even know how 80s it is with with the aerobics studio and everything where they're playing like pretty much Daft Punk on a budget with like that robotic song that they're dancing to. Um Another thing that just blew my mind that I thought was so damn funny is when Kendall he's with that co-ed and she's scared and he's like, "Shut up, you'll be quiet." And he's like, "You can gag me, I don't care, just come sleep with me." And the thing that I found so damn funny, he's trying to be protective of these women on campus, and he goes to the window butt ass naked. And he's like, "Oh, she's in danger." How must that look if she would see him standing butt ass naked in that window,
Yep.
and he's just out there looking at it. I mean, he screams total predator. Another thing that I thought was just absolutely, made me lose faith in the cops in this at all. This guy's trying to find a killer, right? Okay. This is 1982. This guy can't seem to find a fucking match to light his cigar the whole fucking movie. You think you're going to trust this guy to find a fucking killer? Jesus. Anyway, all that stupid shit aside, I actually really like this movie. And it turns out it's actually Eli Roth's favorite slasher movie. But the one thing that I just thought was so absurd, like when everything is I know I've saying so absurd to like everything, but the end of the movie, it has the most unnecessarily end of this movie because apparently this corpse that he has sewn together has been obviously reanimated somehow and it manages to claw Kindle in the dick, and that's like at the end of the movie, and we cut to credits after that. But oh yeah, and spoiler alert, it was the dean all along. He was the killer when he was a kid who killed
What?
his mother. Yes, and filmed in Spain, I believe.
I think so.
Yes.
All in all, I had a good time with this movie. I don't know why he's putting the same puzzle together, but hey, more power to him. Um, yeah, I mean, I pretty much touched on all the bullet points that I thought were hilarious and I thought looked good. What did you guys think?
I have seen this movie now more in the past 2 or 3 years
Yeah.
than I ever had. Like I had never seen. Honestly, it was always one that eluded me up until like Joe Bob had it on last drive-in. Now I've seen it probably about 3 or 4 times. So I must like it. Yeah, no, it's a fun, messed up little piece of sleaze. Definitely
Yeah.
great grindhouse. It's a true definition of a grindhouse movie. But it was just so infamous back in the day, back in the video store days. Just it was always on every video store shelf, and just that cover just screamed at you like as if to say like you better not rent me because you will see some fucked up shit. So
I have to get my line of the movie in. Sorry, before you
I'll go
go.
for it.
There's nothing like smoking pot and having sex on a waterbed or whatever that stupid broad said. Like that's like oh my god, that's the line of the movie. That is so dumb. But continue.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know really what else to say. It definitely has. There's a lot of it that definitely has like an Italian feel to it, but
Little bit, yeah.
more.
It was filmed in Italy. And
But more of an incompetent Italian, like a Bruno Mattei kind of thing. Yeah, because there's a lot of like character motivations that don't make sense, and just the things that they do. One of my laugh out loud moments of this movie is the girl that's playing tennis by herself, and all of a sudden the music kicks on, is blaring, and she gets pissed off. She throws her balls down, and she storms off. And you're assuming she's going to go turn off the music or go yell at whoever turned on the music. No, she just goes in and takes a shower. Like
That's it. I'm showering.
The music motivated you to angrily go take a shower, but
Just wait till I get to start the scrubbing.
so it's so it's just like shit like that is like littered throughout this entire movie.
They do have like the go-to disguise of like, when we're not supposed to know who a person is, they put on a wide-brimmed hat and like this overcoat. I mean, like they did it in The Burning where they dress the person like a Cold War spy, lurking in the shadows.
Probably the most, I don't know, maybe the most famous. Well, that's not true. The police detective, George, I'm blanking on his name now.
George Day?
No, the actor's name, George.
Christopher George.
Christopher George is
I'll be-
probably the most famous person in this movie.
He was in that animal movie we
Day of
did.
the Animals.
Yeah.
The greatest of all time. Grizzly.
Oh yeah.
I'm in for every movie he's in for sure.
But the one actor that I think
Graduation
is
Day.
probably also maybe equally as famous, that always shocks me whenever I see him in this movie is the more heavy-set guy, Paul Smith.
Mhm.
Only because, like, I grew up as a child watching the fucking Popeye movie, and here I'm watching this sleazy slasher film called Pieces, and there's Bluto in the background. But I also know him a lot from watching Sam Raimi's Crime Wave. He's in that, and there was a lot of horror stories about him on the set of that movie. So, anytime I watch him in something now, I just get this impression that people hated working with him.
Yeah, I liked it. I was going to say, Christopher George. I think every movie he's in, I'm going to watch. He's just awesome. The kills are all pretty awesome and great. One that would have made my list on pole position is is it in the bathroom stall where he just goes up and flicks her arm off? Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
Oh my
That
God.
was
I love
awesome.
that one. Like you see it come off. Like they don't.
Yeah.
It was great.
Like where's the prosthetic and where's
Yeah.
the real arm?
God damn.
What the heck?
It was awesome.
I think they really cut off a woman's arm.
Or even the beheading in the park. Like it's ridiculous how it really looks like they put her head in the dirt. But afterwards, her headless corpse looks like they just buried her head. But it's awesome. This is really fun and cool. I love the Italianness of it. I love the Claudio Simonetti little bit of music in there. But I hate this ending. But I don't like either ending. But the first ending I'm like okay with because then he's just sitting like when the lady falls out of the closet on him, and I'm like, oh, that poor dude. He was just trying to get with her a little bit ago, and now that dude's traumatized for life. And then they cut back, and he's sitting on the couch. He's like, I'm cool, man. It's all good. And I'm like, all right, great movie, and it's over. And then his life's ruined. And what? With the crotch grab squish? What is that? I hate it.
They should have just froze the screen like right when he fell on top of her and then just called it a day there. That's my opinion.
So I don't understand, and it makes me mad. It's like, oh, we were so good there, and I just hate that they did that to that dude. I don't know.
Yeah, this one sort of holds a special place in my heart because right when I started getting like really into horror movies and like building a very small DVD collection, maybe like high school somewhere in there, I remember my mom, she would like go shopping with my grandma during the day and bring me home weird stuff all the time, and she brought me home a DVD of Pieces. And I was like, my mom bought
Nice.
I had never seen it, and I was like looking at the cover, and of course it's like it says this is exactly what you think it is, and I was like, Mom picked this up, like it has like a naked like chainsawed woman on the front and a chainsaw, and I'm like, this is sort of wild, and I watched it, and it was like sort of my first like exposure to something outside of the Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street. Like this was like, what is this? This is different, and held on to that memory of like, my mom just picked this up for me and sort of exposed me to this. And then of course, years later, Eli Roth had been touting it like after he when he's doing Hostel, he's sort of like opening the eyes of a lot of people of, saying, here's my influences, here's what I love. And then of course, flash forward another 10 years and Joe Bob shows it on The Last Drive-In and get a whole nother insight on it. And it's something that just keeps popping up every couple of years. And I won't argue that it's a good movie by any means. But it's entertaining. It has some cool kills. And it's sort of just one of those like grimy, unapologetic classics. It's just like, I don't know if it's nostalgia for me, which is weird because obviously I don't have nostalgia for when it was released, but it's just like, the idea that my mom saw this fucked up movie in a bin or something and thought I would enjoy it and brought it home for me. Mom. Right. Like my mom always embraced how weird I was and how different I was from my siblings and, supported my weird hobbies and stuff. And I just, I'll hold it like I still have that original DVD and it's just sort of like, almost like what that I would say started that like collection thing where I'm like, oh, where did you get this? I got to go out and find, what else is in that bin, and what else is like branches off from there, and
basically just have a damn near X-rated teddy bear that your mom gave you.
Yeah, luckily I was old enough, I was like high school, so it wasn't like that big of a deal.
Still,
but
it means something to you. I think that's awesome.
Yeah. So, I always think of that when I see it. Like looking back on it, it's like my mom bought me pieces. That's pretty awesome. Like I have a cool mom.
You do have a cool mom.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess that's it. Finally got one on there you guys freaking liked, for crying out loud. So I guess that's it for the films for this episode. But fear not, folks. There is more Attack of the Killer podcast to come.
Oh yeah. We're
gonna take a quick break. When we come back, we're gonna do segments here on the show. Before we do that, though, you are gonna hear a promo for our network called the Prescribed Films Podcast Network. The PFPN is home to so many shows, including the Horrorcast. If you've not listened to them, the Horrorcast is a group of 6 friends who review horror cinema, old and new. Check out one of the best horror movie podcasts and all the other shows on thepfpn.com. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, home to hundreds of hours of free podcast entertainment. The shows on this network all have a common goal, providing you with the best discussions about movies and other forms of entertainment media. The PFPN hopes to fill your earholes with audio joy. Visit our website with links to all the other amazing shows at www.thepfpn.com. Thanks for listening.
And we are back. It's time to hear from you guys out there in podcast land. It's shout outs with Jason.
It's time for shout outs. Shout outs. Shout outs. Shout outs. Shout outs.
All right, we asked, what are your favorite Texas Chainsaw ripoff horror films? And these are your comments. Up first in the Attack of the Killer Podcast group edition on Facebook, we got Marcus Rude from the Rude Horror Podcast. He says, Cannibal Farm. Anybody?
Oh, I don't know that one.
No?
I'll have to check.
Not familiar.
Nope. Marcus watches a lot of them weird movies. Just kidding. We got Attacker Rod Hutchinson. He says, Motel Hell. You've got a chainsaw and cannibalism.
Yes. And a pig head.
And huh?
What?
Up next, we got the Reebster, Mike Reeb. He says,
buddy.
I know, I miss that dude.
I do
Need
too.
to get him back on. We got Motel Hell is the best TCM ripoff movie, but the X-Files episode titled Home is the best overall Texas Chainsaw Massacre ripoff.
Oh, interesting.
That's cool. I don't know that one particularly.
I've never seen an episode of
Oh, wow.
X-Files.
Oh, wow.
You're a
I know.
little baby boy.
I am.
You want to be a man? Watch some X-Files.
That's right. That means that he's young. Over on our Facebook page, we got Don and Nelly. He says, the first choice that comes to mind is The Last House in the Woods, an Italian film from the mid-2000s. I ended that sentence really fast. I ran out of words with my inflection. He goes on to say, a British slasher from several years ago called Escape from Cannibal Farm also stands out. You can also find that shortened to just Cannibal Farm. Oh, yeah, like Marcus said. Oh, that's a good one. And Wrong Turn 2 stole the dinner sequence nearly shot for shot. So I think that would count. That's pretty fair.
Sure. I love Wrong Turn 2.
I would say Don will be like, the obvious choice and best pick is something that
No
I'm the
one's
only
ever-
person that's ever seen.
I know. Like
Every time, too. It's so
feeling a little
awesome.
inadequate. So far, we're like 4 movie suggestions in, and 2 of them I haven't even heard of before.
Don's always scraping the underbelly of cinema. It's pretty amazing.
Yep.
Marcus is back. He says, I know this isn't a horror film, but the Baker family dinner scenario in Resident Evil 7 was directly inspired by TCM. And if anyone hasn't played that game yet, I highly encourage you do so. Now, a video game.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That may be a first.
Nice. And lastly, we got Tim Lennerer. He says, Motel Hell gets my vote. It's got everything. A hero swinging to the rescue on a meat hook, a disturbingly agricultural way to keep the human meat supply coming, and a truly wonderful dying confession from Farmer Vincent. It also was a semi-spoof, which the actual second Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie was as well, but came out several years before TCM2. Honorable mention to the first Wrong Turn, which I got to see in a second-run theater that reeked of piss. Okay.
Yeah.
Closest I'll probably get to the real 70s Grindhouse experience. Very true. Nothing on Twitter or the Instagram, but you can also call in and leave a voicemail like we got today. Are you ready?
We're on a streak.
Listen up.
Hey guys, Tacker Brian here again for my bi-weekly phone call. See, we're talking about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre ripoff. Great timing. When we're doing this episode, we're listening to this episode, everybody will have seen the new trailer for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Looks pretty good to me. I'm excited. But I think when we talk about Texas Chainsaw Massacre ripoffs, we have to go back to Slaughterhouse, 1987.
Nice.
Pretty good movie.
Yeah.
First time watch for me this week. Really enjoyed it. A lot of stuff straight from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So I think it qualifies as a ripoff. Hope you guys have a great week. Can't wait to listen to the episodes. Bye.
Hey, thanks, Attacker Brian.
Yes, thanks.
The Godzilla himself.
I remember in one of the horror magazines back in the day when this movie was getting pushed, and there was, in the magazine, there was a picture of an 8x10 promo shot of the character Buddy from Slaughterhouse, where he has one foot up on a chainsaw and the chain on the chainsaw is broken. I think there was also like a hockey mask next to the chainsaw, maybe. But the most memorable part is he's picking his teeth with a claw from Freddy's glove.
Ah.
Yeah, that cover was... But it's a good choice, though, Slaughterhouse. It's
that was
inspired.
One of the movies that was in the hat, and I obviously drew wrong when we ended up doing Blood Salvage.
Yes, you did. You meant to say Skin Deep, but
no. The whole point of this episode was Skin Deep.
Well, remember, everyone, you can also call in and leave your voicemail. Give us a buzz at 415-952-6857 or 415-95-AOTKP. Leave us that voicemail. We'll play it on the show. Sadly, today, Christian Slater's on location filming his new movie, so he can't be with us tonight. But guess what? It's still time for Insane's Picks.
When you ask most cinephiles who is the overweight New York B-movie and exploitation actor who has been in Tromo movies, most people are going to say Joe Flyshaker. But for today's Insane Picks Hall of Fame, we will be inducting an actor of way better caliber than Joe, my favorite New York-based tubby character actor and Troma star, Pat Ryan. I definitely prefer Pat Ryan over Joe. I feel like Pat was a way better actor, where Joe was mostly just kind of a one-note joke with over-the-top performances during a time when the Troma crew became more of a satire of themselves. For those who don't know who Pat is, he played the mayor in Toxic Avenger and the head of the nuclear power plant in Class of Nukem High. He usually portrayed amusingly sleazy fat guys in a handful of enjoyable low-budget pictures made throughout the 1980s. Robert Lawrence R.L. Ryan was born October 29th, 1946 in Pennsylvania. He made his film debut with a small part in the gritty urban vigilante action flick Fighting Back in 1982, directed by Louis Teague, I think is how you say his name, the director of Alligator. Pat was then cast in the role he is most famous for as the corrupt Mayor Belgoody in the film that put Troma movies on the map, The Toxic Avenger, in 1984. Pat was hilarious as the super sleazy mayor of Tromaville with apparently an oversized liver. Ryan was also likewise very funny as the crooked nuclear power plant manager Mr. Finley in Troma's follow-up to The Toxic Avenger, Class of Nukem High in 1986. Now, he wasn't solely an actor for Troma. He was the slimy, disgusting necrophile junkyard owner Frank Schnitzer in the outrageous Street Trash in 1987. Pat usually played smaller roles throughout his career in such movies as Birdie in 1984, Invasion USA in 1985, Forever Lulu in 86, and Mannequin in 1987. It wasn't until his final film where he shaved his head and got the lead role as the cannibalistic humanoid extraterrestrial Murray creature in the sci-fi comedy Eat and Run in 1987. After Eat and Run, he left showbiz, and unfortunately Pat died of a heart attack on March 22nd, 1991. He didn't have a very big filmography, but he did leave us with some memorable performances. So for this Insane Picks Hall of Fame, we induct Pat Ryan.
Yahoo! Yay! All right.
Yay. Okay, so that's it. That's the end of another chainsaw-wielding episode of Attack of the Killer podcast. Thanks so much for listening, and special thanks to all the attackers and our newest attacker, Rose.
Rose.
Woo! Thanks, guys, for supporting the show. Talk to you all next time, and remember, you don't have to go to Texas to have a chainsaw massacre.